powered by Riverside FM.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast. I hope everyone has been enjoying their Saturday or their weekend, depending on where in the world you are listening to this podcast. This podcast is a Manchester United Football Club fan podcast discussing everything as much as I can about Manchester United Red Devils. Hopefully, we have a lot to talk about today. But before that, don't forget to hit subscribe, depending on where you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Don't forget to follow on Instagram and Twitter as well. Search just for the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, and hit a like, subscribe, a follow. I enjoy doing this podcast so far, but it is episode 7 of the podcast. I do know that, and I do apologize to some. I know last episode I said I'd be back a little bit earlier, especially after the game against Nottingham Forest, and I know it's Saturday night at around 11 p.m. and I'm doing my predictions and my recap of everything that went on this week and lots to discuss. But yes, things that we're going to discuss today. Again, I'm going to recap a very short recap of the Forest loss. 1-0. Talk a little bit about Alejandro Garncho. We do have a big match tomorrow at Derby. This is actually my first Derby episode. So we have Man City versus Manchester United. I will give my predictions with my lineup as well. Some injury concerns. Definitely going to discuss a little bit about Ruben Amorim's little comment today about seeing Manchester United win. And I know a lot of people are throwing, I don't want to say shade, but they're definitely throwing some comments out there saying that they don't know what he's talking about. But I will discuss that. But yes, it's always something new with Manchester United every week. And again, next week is the first match against Leon, so we have that going on. So when I do my predictions today, I feel like some people may be shocked. I know I'm just in the early stages of this podcast, but it definitely is, it's hard to say when we have that big of a match going on, but I am excited for next week for Europa. And a lot of people are excited for Europa next week. It's the quarterfinals, big games. This is what we're leaning towards. And you know what? This is the best way to Champions League because, again, with the way some matches went today, Crystal Palace winning, it's definitely looking like we might be finishing in the bottom half of the Premier League this year. But don't quit yet, is what I'm saying. Especially with everything going on with potential ticket to 11 teams in Europe next year, potentially. That's what's there. You hope for an all-English final in Champions League and Europa. You hope that Chelsea pulls out in the Conference League. So it's what we're hoping for. And if we can get into the right spot and get that spot into Europe, that would be greatly appreciated, to say the least. So let's hope. But yes, let's kick it off with our first topic of the night. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to try to make it short in regards to this segment about the loss to Nottingham Forest. I know in my previous episode, I would say that it was going to be better performance, to say the least, compared to what happened when we last played Nottingham Forest at the early stages of the Ruben Amorim era. Losing 1-0 sucks, and I know people talking about Alanga, and that's why I'm trying to make this short, because I don't want to go off and talk about the fans saying, well, we gave away Alanga and look how he's performing. Listen, he is a tremendous player. He is having an incredible year. Yes, former players are always going to get tied to Manchester United because of the club, the state of the club, everything going on. But can we? I'll leave my statement here. Can we just blow past it and leave it go? We know who he was when he was coming through. We know how things didn't work out for him when he came through. So let's just leave it there. Again, incredible. He scored. He was an incredible goal. It wasn't as quick as the last time that they scored, but they did score. But overall, the performance of Manchester United, it wasn't bad. It was better. They did have their opportunities to score. Listen, they're facing a top 3 team with an incredible defense. They had their chance, the opportunity again. Man United to at least tie it. But again, they played extremely well. Nottingham Forest, they're a top 3 team, and we had our opportunities to score. And this is going to kind of lead into my next segment in a moment here, but overall performances, because again, I usually do my 3 of the match, and it's hard to say who I'm going to put in there. Our attack was dreadful. But if I'm going to put some people there, I'm kind of going to lean towards Diego Dallo, Dorgu, for getting crosses in, trying to get stuff into the box. I am kind of leaning towards not Dorgu at the moment. Or was it because of the score with Alanga, because he was the one chasing back? It's really hard to try and think of 3 men of the match for this game, especially with the way things are. But I did like Diego, and I did like Dorgu, because again, they did try to do things to try and get the ball moving. Xerxes was not the best in what I thought it was. Garnacho, he played well treading back, but the kid, and that's what's going to lead into my next segment about discussing about Alejandro Garnacho. The kid just needs to take a moment when he gets the ball and read the situation, read the room, to paraphrase his style of play. Just read the room when you get that ball. See what you're looking for. Look for Bruno, look for Højlund, look to see what's going on around. But yeah, the attack wasn't the best. Xerxes didn't do anything special. Højlund didn't get anything fed to him. Again, Diego Dallo did do things, getting the cross through. Dorgu did as well. You can say Bruno potentially. But I think my 3 will be Delit, because he still played well, got injured, still played the full 90. Dorgu, Dalot. So the 3 Ds, I guess, to take at least, well, yeah, you can say that. Let's go with the 3 Ds. We'll call that Matheus Delit, Patrick Dorgu, and Diego Dallo. Those would be my 3 men of the matches. But again, we had our opportunities. They didn't do the great. Onana made some good saves. Lenny Euro was back, which was good. Ugarte going off around half was kind of concerning, but I think he's still recovering from the Bolivia match that they had there at the high altitudes. So that could have been a concern. Again, Garnacho and his wild shots, not reading the room. Højlund, nothing. Even Xerxes, when he was playing the 9, wasn't there. It was an unusual lineup, having Bruno starting the 10 and then going back to pivot. But yeah, overall, it was better performance than it was the last time. They weren't. They're still chasing, but the control of the possession, the opportunities were there. Just Nottingham Forest in the late season are a better club. Let's just say it there. They are a better club, and defensively they're great as well. They took a tough loss today to Villa, but Villa's a good side as well, especially with their depth. But overall, an improvement from the last time they played Nottingham Forest. But going forward, we have to see the changes. And I think now with Leon coming up, you're going to see a few things. But it's definitely going to be a unique. I shouldn't say unique. Unique is a tough word to say. I think you're going to see some challenges going forward, especially with maintaining like your best 11, especially for the quarterfinals. So we're going to see some changes there going forward. But I know I mentioned Garnacho in the match. And now the next question is there a chance that he gets moved on? That's basically like that game gave a lot of questions, and that's what's leading into my next segment. So, I know Garnacho is a young player. I do like him. I like things that he was doing under Ten Hag. Since the change, it has been kind of an up and down. He did go in the drought like Rasmus, not scoring. Before the break, did get a goal. We did see now call up for Argentina, but when we're looking at it here, I know I mentioned last episode with the rumors of Bruno going to Real Madrid. Now, could that be the reason why they keep Garnacho and Manu? Maybe. But now when you're looking at it here, when you're playing a club like Nottingham Forest and you get the opportunities to get the ball, he wasn't making the right plays to Dorgu. He wasn't making the right passes to the middle. He was taking arrogant shots. Only I think one of them went on target. Like he needs to, like I mentioned in the last segment, he needs to learn to read the room when playing on the attack. And the question is now is when you were playing this, because again, I know we played Ipswich before we left the break. Let's not pretend that we were playing a top 6 team or anything, that we were just like there were some struggles there. And when you're trying to move the ball, get spaces going through, yeah, it was Ipswich last time, correct? I'm just gonna pull it up, yeah, because at the break, just a lot of things are going on when you're looking at it here. So let me just get everything back from the schedule from before, definitely before the break. So let me just take a look here. The 16th, that was the last time. Sorry, it was Leicester. Ipswich, we did win. I'm not going to take that away. We did have a win against Ipswich, but the Leicester City, it was a 3-0 win, and obviously Leicester is going to be relegated to the championship. But we know that they scored. We had some things like Hoyland ended their drought for scoring. We saw that. But Leicester is not Nottingham Forest. They're not Aston Villa. They're not Chelsea. They're not Man City. They're not Arsenal. They're not Liverpool. And they're also not Newcastle. I know Newcastle is lower, but even still, all good clubs in front, even Crystal Palace. But when we're playing the teams that we are we need to battle and show strength against, we are struggling against. And yes, the term maturity comes into question. He has the talent, but it's just he has to take that extra step. He has to read what's going on. Sometimes he was just seeing the ball and just trying to blast it. It wasn't the best, but he just wasn't taking those extra 2-3 steps on, hey, let's get this figured out. Let's make the extra pass, make it go. He could hit Dorgu and a couple down below that could have created a cross. He could have hit, whether it was Eriksson, Bruno, Xerxes. Well, Josh was Xerxes. When you had those opportunities to get there, even Casemiro had some times in the middle when he came on. But the shots, he was playing hero ball, and you can describe the way Garnacho was playing as you can describe as how this team has been playing all year, whether it's a different manager or not. Some are trying to make the plays and become the hero. So I believe it was someone who once said, I heard it this season, they are playing as they're trying to win as individuals, not win as a team. And I think Garnacho was stepping away from that, trying to be that, and stop throwing the whole Ronaldo idolization here. I think he's just trying to put that all on his chest and realize, hey, I can do it. But realizing that extra move he could do will make him better as well. So, unfortunately, a lot of his shots from the right, that left side, were going far right. Like he like some one or two I think he got on target, but like so many were just over the net. Were very wide right. It would look like some of his wide shots look like my slices when I tee off at golf. For real. That's what it's looking like. And now the question is, should he be sold this summer? He's pure profit. We can use him to bring in some extra talent. We can have him buy players that we need. You know, there's links to Liam Delap. There's links to Kuna, Simoneo, Mbueo. There's links to players outside the Premier League that we could bring in. Like, should we just tap it in and get that extra profit and help with this club? It's hard to say because he's in his early 20s. We have a young squad, but the one thing too is we do have veterans on that team. Bruno can step in and tell him, "Hey, take the extra 2 steps." Ruben should be telling him to take those extra steps to read. Ericsson, even Casemiro. You have players there that need to take a step up. We saw Rasmus losing it on him a couple times for the arrogance and not reading the past and going through with it. So we're sitting here in this situation wondering, should he be sold? Should he be moved on? Should Manu be the one that's kept so we can use him in a better 10 position? Because again, every time you see him play the 10 Garnacho, he plays so far wide out that he's not really there to help the striker or move along with the wings that are supposed to be there, helping him out. So it's up to you. Do I believe Garnacho should be sold? I don't want to. If the price is right, take it. If not, keep him for another year. You can continue to develop him. Get someone who can play that position naturally, and he can, watch and see how it goes, and he can develop. If he doesn't like that and wishes to go, then send him away. Sure, I shouldn't say send him away, but sell him, get that pure profit in. So I think we're at that moment, or we're in a fork in the crossroads here, fork in the road or at a crossroad. Maybe it is time for him to go. Maybe it's time for him to be sold to another, a team that can benefit his talents, where he fits in the system a lot better than what Ruben Amorim's trying to do. And Ruben Amorim's here to stay. He's not going to play player ball, but it's a situation here. And with tomorrow being the derby, that's the ultimate question. And with Leon coming up, is he going to be used much tomorrow? Is he going to be trusted? Because him, Xerxes, Rasmus, Rasmus, I know wasn't getting fed, but Xerxes and Garnacho last week did not do us any favors, and we saw the struggle. We did. We saw the struggle, and it brings into a lot of questions for what I am looking at for tomorrow's matchup. And you know what? I am going to start. That's my next segment right now. It's going to be like the derby tomorrow. This is my first episode of the podcast discussing a derby. But right now, the question is, what lineup does he use? Like, where would Amorim put Garnacho tomorrow? But you know what? Let's go into my next segment and let's talk about the Manchester City Man United derby happening, depending on where you are today or tomorrow. Today, but let's talk about the derby. Okay. Yes, Man City, Manchester United. Listen, we know everyone's going to get excited about this. You're seeing how things are going for Manchester United. You've seen the struggles going on with Manchester United, and you kind of wonder how this match is going to turn out. Erling Haaland is out for the next 5 to 7 weeks. With an injury, hopefully coming back by the end of the season for City, but City still has depth. Let's not hide that from anyone, saying that, oh no, Erling Haaland is the whole Manchester City team. But yes, we do have a matchup tomorrow that's big. So 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're looking at here, just pulling up the table. Right now, Man City sitting in 5th. Man United sitting in lovely beautiful 13th at the moment here, just way far back. So right now we're in that situation here. But listen, we know how this derby always looks out. We know the history of between these two clubs. But the question is City in a good spot right now? If you look at their last 5, 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. When we're looking at Man United, 2 draw, basically the exact same thing. Actually, a little bit better. Like I said, 2 losses, 2 losses, a draw, and a win for City. Man United, their last 5, 2 draws, 2 wins, and a loss. So, listen, it could go either way tomorrow. But City do have depth. They do have players that play well. And listen, I hope for the best for tomorrow. I really do. I'm definitely rooting for, United. I'm always going to go for a United win no matter what. But we're in a situation here where we know the players will show up. It's Old Trafford. It's the derby. But what are we expecting in terms of a lineup, especially with Leon coming up? Mateus de Ligt is out. He is out. He should be in for next game. They took him out for precaution. So if I'm doing a lineup for tomorrow, and you might think this is mad for what I'm thinking of. Listen, the back 3 is going to be Mazraoui, Harry, and Euro. You're going to have them in the back 3. De Ligt maybe is out. We're going to probably see Lindelof and some depth pieces there for the defense, for the back 3 there. My middle, Delo, Ugarte should be back and fully good to go. Hopefully he is recovered enough, especially from Bolivia. Bruno and Dorgu. My attack. This is the one thing I'm looking at here when I'm discussing my attack for this matchup. And you can take it however you want when discussing this attack. I'm going with Mason Mount, Eriksson, and Højlund. And I know there's something coming out this week about discussing about the type of injury that Mount has, but he is back. He is playing. Listen, that injury going down the road, that's something that they may look at here to help prevent for him from having any more injuries. But yes, Onana there. You may be having Bayender going to the quarters. You have Maz, Harry, and Euro, which I think are fine. Again, I would have had De Ligt where Harry was, but you're going to have to keep those 3 there as well. Not having Holland kind of does help us in a favor here because, again, the matchups should be a little bit better, but they still have players that can move the ball. Matmouche, I do apologize if I mispronounced that, City fans. I am sorry. Has been a nice replacement. You still have Doku. You still have Phil Foden. You still have Grealish. You still have De Bruyne, who is leaving at the end of the season. You still have pieces there. I know Grealish will come off the bench. Usually you have Bernardo Silva, who should be starting this week. But you do have players there. They have depth pieces. You know what they're capable of doing. So it will be a usual derby as always. Hopefully good result. We've seen some lately in the past go very much in City's way. We're starting in the past, and I'm not talking about recent matches. Obviously, us winning back in December and us winning the FA Cup last year against them. I know we lost them in the Community Shield, but we have had outings and derbies before where City have walked all over us, especially, in the final months of the last month or so, or I shouldn't say the last month, the season of Ten Hag, the season that we try to forget of how well dominant City were against us. Even in Ten Hag's first year, the second leg, or I shouldn't say the second leg, but the second match that we faced them, they beat us pretty good. But again, we know how good we know how much this means to Manchester. We know how much it's going to mean to tomorrow at Old Trafford. But I know that my attack isn't going to be the best, but I think the back 3 is what I think it's going to be. My middle 4, I think it's fine. It's usually trying to keep the most It's going to be the same Final Four that's going to be against Leon, I believe, with Delo, Ugarte, Bruno, and Dorgu. I think that's the best combination that we have. The reason why I'm going with Mount and Eriksson is I think Garnacho and Xerxes need to come off the bench. After last game, Xerxes did nothing. Garnacho with the wild shots. They definitely need a moment to sit back, watch, and I think with the combination of Mount, Eriksson together, you're going to see a little bit more movement and better control. Hopefully you see Hoyland score a couple tomorrow. I would love that. I would really, really love that. So that's my matchup. That's my lineup for tomorrow. I know. Sorry about that. I was about to burp while I was recording, but again, sorry, lost my train of thought there as I mentioned that unusual statement. But I think you have to give those guys a chance. I know a lot of people like, well, it's the Derby. Yeah, I'm well aware of what it is, but for what we lacked earlier this week against Nottingham Forest, I think a change up front will need to be done, and I think Mount and Eriksson are our two options there. It's unconventional. I know some people are worried about injuries, but I think that's what it is. I really do. I think that's what we have to leave it as. So, again, going over Onana, Naz, Harry, Euro, Delo, Ugarte, Bruno, and Torgu, and then our attack with Mount, Eriksson, and Hoyland. As you're starting up front, you may see Casemiro there, and you may have Bruno and Eriksson together starting at 10. That could be a potential as well, but I think, again, I'm not a superstar manager. I know I'm 7 episodes in, and as much as I can say I'm a United fan and I follow the sport, I'm not that type of decision maker, and I'm doing my guesstimation here of what I think the squad's going to be. So, yeah. So again, I'm hoping for a win. I'm hoping for executions, consistency. We know they show up in big games. Like it's always amazing when they show up for a derby or Arsenal or Liverpool, a Chelsea match. It's those little games. And you know what? Nottingham Forest is a top there. We should have shown up there. We kind of did, but you know what I said about that matchup. But yeah, I know it drives us nuts when they show up for these types of matches, but we need to see consistency and we need to see something with better ball movement. And I think the squad there, I believe, should be right. So we'll see. It's just a matter of what can we do. And with Leon coming up, rotation is kind of key because, again, that Leon matchup is huge. It's quarterfinals. Our goal is to appear in Champions League. Goal to win the Europa because there's no other options left unless the coefficient somehow helps us and we get ourselves in a spot where the coefficient benefits us. That's incredible as well, but it's hit or miss on how everything's going to play out. So, yeah, that's what I have left to say for the match tomorrow. And yeah, this is me coming to the end of the episode of the podcast as well. I know I'm not going to go long like I have in other episodes. Listen, it's hard to predict the summer transfer window with everything going on. I know we've had ties with multiple players, multiple strikers. I've mentioned my idea of the freeze. Like I said, if we're so concerned about money, please look at the talent pool of the free transfers. If there's someone there that can help us with the veteran presence or depth, take a look there. So I would go for that. Again, when we're looking at the cost of some of these strikers, players that we want to bring in, I understand why they're bringing in the young players. But for those high-priced strikers, I think they have to look at options if funds are really the important thing here. So I will spend another episode as later on we go through the week, because again, you're going to see more of it. You're going to see the Manchester Evening News. You're going to see other fan channels. You're going to see Sky. You're going to see BBC, ESPN. You're going to see them all talking about the transfers and what United should do. And you're going to see them ridicule them as well. So, next episode, hopefully, the next episode will be out before Leon. It will be in between. And I do my best to try and get an episode out. I know those fan channels are on the ball, and some of this episode might feel like, a repeat of what you heard from United Stand, United View, Stretford Paddock, ESPN, Sky, Talk, everything that you've heard this week. So if you heard it before, I apologize. If you want to just skip through to the review, you can, of what I think the squad will be like tomorrow, my prediction. But listen, we have to play smart tomorrow. Again, we have to play consistently. They have to control that ball. No stupid long balls. You have to control it and be able to play against, be smart with it. We know how well City can play. We know how well they can move the ball into transitions. We know how Pep can do. As much as you can say how Amorim is basically 2-0 against Pep this season, yeah, that's great. Pep could have something here for us that we're not going to expect. So you got to remember, as much as we are in a spot trying to get ourselves back up into certain spots for United to play better, we're facing an opponent that needs to fight. Like I said, when looking at the table today, you're seeing City in fifth. They are 1 point back of Chelsea. They are 6 points back of Nottingham Forest. So if they get a win today, can get themselves back into at least 3. There's 11 points back of Arsenal. They're in no reach of Liverpool, but they're fighting for a top 5. They have Arsenal or Aston Villa creeping up, Newcastle creeping up. And Newcastle has still a game in hand on them. So if they somehow pulled out 2 victories, you're looking at a different table here. And, as much as Brighton won today, Brighton's only 4 points back if City were to lose tomorrow. So, listen, the setting for the table for the top 5, top 6 is very key, and City is battling with that because, again, Champions League or Europa, that could be where they are next year. It's either or, and that game tomorrow it's a game that they need to win. We would like to win and get momentum, but City has got the game that they need. So this is a game that they need. They can't drop points, especially coming down to the final 8 games of the season. That's where we are. We're final 8. So, again, City's in a battle for position, and if Chelsea pull out a win, they take an extra leap away from City. So, again, I know I mentioned I want a United win. I always hope for a United win. But, listen, the pressure is going to be on us tomorrow. Actually, no, the pressure should be off us a little bit. The pressure's on City. Sorry, I should reiterate that statement. The more pressure is on City for how important tomorrow's game is. For us, it's an important game. I shouldn't take that away. But it isn't. It's a game tomorrow where, City's in a do-or-die mode. And us, we can play the upset. We can play that position where it affects them in the standings. So we just have to wait and see how everything plays out. Again, Newcastle can, if they have the next 2 good games to catch up, and they can take over into the top 5. So we have to see how things play out, to say the least. But tomorrow, the pressure is on City. Man United, just again, consistency, be smart with the ball, have players in the right position, track back when you can, get that attack going. That's what Man United need tomorrow. So that's what I'm hoping for. Listen, I can go on to more and more about what I want to discuss, but I will leave it there as well. So thank you for listening to tonight's episode of the podcast, depending on where you are going to be listening to. Again, don't forget to hit subscribe, whether you're following on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. YouTube as well. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram as well. I will be looking at TikTok as well because, again, TikTok is another stream, or not streaming platform, but definitely another social media to help expand the pod as well. So I will announce that once TikTok is available. The YouTube channel is there. You can follow us Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Overcast as well, which is another podcast outlet. So lots of to subscribe, not describe. My apologies. But I hope you do enjoy tonight's episode of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, depending where you are, your Sunday as well. But again, thank you for listening tonight. Again, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy your weekend. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.